You're listening to the Valley Labor Report.
Now, at the state level, something that's kind of interesting that's happened this week is that the State Board of Education has passed a so-called intellectual freedom resolution that just so happens to include some punitive measures towards teachers who they believe to be in violation of this resolution. And really what this is about is pandering to the anti-critical race theory hysteria that has been pushed by right-wing media and promoted by groups like the Alabama Tea Party, which in this case specifically called the Eagle Forum. And they actually put out a letter this week and mentioned my name in that letter as one of the certified educators in Alabama who was willing to take the Howard's Inn Education Project's pledge to teach the truth. And just, I got to say this, folks, if the truth looks like misinformation, that's your problem. Perhaps you've been misinformed. So that kind of pandering will continue. It appears to be holding a little bit stronger than maybe the last few controversies around Dr. Seuss and Mr. Potato Head. Danny Crawford, the state rep for House District 5, which Athens and Limestone County is part of House District 5. So right here in this station, our state representative has already pre-filed legislation about critical race theory. Leave it to the Alabama GOP to fight imaginary battles that really and try to solve problems that don't even exist. But the sad thing to me is that it's going to intimidate teachers, especially in the social sciences and literature, fine arts. It's going to intimidate them and try to discourage honest, authentic conversations about our country's history and about the roles in which race has always played a role in our country's history and the way it still exists today. If you want to be a responsible citizen and a responsible member of your community, part of that is being able to know and understand the past so that you can analyze the present to build a better future. And that is under attack in this state. So while the state board is worrying about that, districts across the Tennessee Valley and all over Alabama are having to implement masking policies as COVID runs wild in our school buildings and, of course, throughout our communities, especially with the Delta variant. Just this morning, I was on the news and saw in Florida, Broward County, there's a lot going on there where multiple teachers have died as they are getting ready to start school. And, it's just sad that's the priority of some of our state leaders in education. And in response to these masking updates, we got to say there's some folks showing out at local school board meetings. Lots of, I'm just going to say it, affluent, white, soccer mom types are showing up to school board meetings and totally showing their butt and acting wild and unhinged because little Johnny might have to wear a piece of fabric on their face. Interesting. And on that note, 1 in 5 Alabama children live below the poverty line, according to that new census data. 1 in 5. Overall, about 15% or more of Alabamians live beneath the poverty line. And of course, no surprise, there are significant disparities along race and gender lines. So while our educator leaders, quote unquote, try to make it harder to teach the truth about our history, our children are suffering in poverty. They are suffering from COVID and all of the disruption that has caused in our society. They're struggling with trauma. Our educators are dealing with, underfunding, lack of respect, lack of training and resources, class sizes that are too high, a lack of mental health services for their students and for themselves. It's quite shameful to see the priorities. And I'm disappointed that there has not been a lot of pushback from the education community about this. To me, this is a matter of academic freedom. And I think back to some of the lessons that I taught in my own classroom. And, could I do those today? Or if I did those, what would happen? Obviously, I've already been named by the Eagle Forum. And, of course, they made sure to name Huntsville City Schools for the audacity to have something called the No Place for Hate program. How radical of them to say that their schools would be no place for hate. So that's all I got for local and state updates.
I mean, that juxtaposition, and I'm sure that was on purpose, but between like all these people being irate and showing up to city council meetings because their children, might have to wear masks. And, like, look, I mean, it's one thing to go and register your displeasure about that policy, and then that's fine. And I can understand the argument that it's children are not really affected, or by and large, statistically speaking. Obviously, we can talk about anecdotes, and there's that you can pull one instance of anything happening, but by and large, children haven't been affected by the alpha variant, the wild type COVID. There are reports suggesting that the Delta variant may be a little bit more detrimental to children, but that's not been confirmed. There hasn't been any peer-reviewed research that I've seen on that. And so I can understand the argument that look, we need to get all the adults in the building vaccinated, and then things should be back to normal. And that's how I would prefer, because obviously having a mask in schools for children to wear, that's going to be some amount of detriment to their learning experience and their social experience, and it's not going to be as fun. And it's not right. I understand that.
Right.
I don't know that I agree with that.
It's easy to live through a pandemic.
Right. And so I understand that, but to get so irate about that, of all things, and go to city council meeting after city council meeting, or school board meeting after school board meeting, and that is the only thing that you're concerned about. And then at those meetings, giving some impassioned speech about how the vaccine is going to turn us into lizard people or make us magnetic or something. I just can't. The misinformation is so insane, and the juxtaposition of the masks are tyranny to 1 in 5 Alabamian children are living in poverty. We have real issues that children are facing in this state, and frankly, wearing a mask in school is not even it doesn't seem to me to crack the top 5. Register your displeasure if you want about that, but also if you're actually concerned about children, then let's think about how we can make children's lives in Alabama better. There are a lot of ways, there are a lot of things that Alabama can do better to make their children's to make our children's lives better, and having a mask or not in schools is not the thing that is that people should be getting so up in arms about. We should be expanding Medicaid. We should be making sure that the parents are making enough money to support their children. We should be making sure that the jobs that come here are good paying jobs with good benefits. It's just so
we should have collective bargaining rights for educators. And that would be something in this state if the educators actually had collective bargaining, and which we discussed with the campus workers. Right. Technically, there's nothing legally saying they can't do it, but it's obviously not a practice here. And you know what? Masking policies, vaccine policies, those are issues that could be bargained if we had collective bargaining for educators. But that is not the situation, and it's really unfortunate because in district after district, the voices of rank-and-file teachers and rank-and-file support staff are not honored. They're not considered. And so I think that's a big part of the problem, too, is that the people who actually do the work usually have the least amount of input. And that's, true in education, and that's true in sector after sector.
You're listening to the Valley Labor Report with Jacob Morrison.
The American Federation of Government Employees, AFGE Local 1858, believes all workers are entitled to fairness, dignity, and respect. AFGE also knows that the best way to guarantee proper treatment is for workers to stand together, united, looking out for each other. In AFGE, we fight for workers every day to ensure a workplace that is safe and free from harassment. If you're a federal employee and want to be a part of this union, to protect yourself and your fellow workers, call 256-876-4880.
If you want to see what we're up to throughout the week and get our snide quips about the news of the day, then you should follow us on social media. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/The Valley Labor Report. We're on Twitter at Labor Reporters. I'm on Twitter at JacobM_AL. If you missed part of the show and you want to go back and watch it later, you can search YouTube for The Valley Labor Report and subscribe to our channel. You can go back and watch the full show there, and we also clip segments and release them throughout the week. We upload the program on more than 11 different podcasting apps, so to see if we are on your listening platform of choice, you can go to thevalleylaborreport.transistor.fm/subscribe, and we've got a website where you can buy our stickers. We are all out of hats now, so you can still go and buy our stickers though at thevalleylaborreport.org. And we want to do a T-shirt drop here in the future, and we think we like the idea of doing some kind of graphic tee. With some sort of like labor theme. So if you have any ideas about that, then, let us know. Send us a DM on Twitter or Facebook, whatever you think would look cool. And if we get any cool ideas, we want to commission a local artist to do that for us. And so let us know. We are open to ideas. I've got at least one cool idea that we're bouncing around right now already. So, but more are always welcome. And finally, if you appreciate our work and you want to help us stay on the air, then the best thing that you can do is throw us a few dollars a month on patreon.com/The Valley Labor Report. As you can imagine, businesses don't line up to advertise on a Union Talk radio show, so your support really does help us out.